Well, hey, you are watching the video version of the Marketing Should Be Fun podcast. It's so good to have you here. You can find this show on any of your favorite podcast platforms. There's the art, looks like that. You got Apple Podcasts, you got Spotify, you got all the rest. Anywhere you want to find it, you can check it out. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation. Well, welcome back to the Marketing Should Be Fun podcast. My name's Austin Savage. I'm here with my good friend and business partner, Kelsey Zarko. Kelsey, how are you today?
I am so excited today. It is going to be an awesome day.
Yeah, you really were. We joined kind of this the Zoom early, and you're like, I'm ready to just take on this
Monday.
day. I am
Let's go.
Golden. So Kelsey, let's jump right in. Who are we talking to on the podcast today?
Yes, I'm so excited. My friend Emily Schwalbach is on our podcast today. I'm going to just rave about you for a minute and tell them all how I met you. No, back when I was like a startup beginning to grow my first business and my brand, I don't even remember what year it was, but we got connected on Instagram through some of the social squad society things you do. And she is now known affectionately as your Instagram hype girl, but she is a social media consultant and just somebody that has really influenced a lot of my life and my career. And so I'm so honored that she's on our show today. Welcome.
That is like so sweet and kind. You can't make me cry because I can cry very easily. So let's not do that.
It's too early in the morning for that.
Too early crying.
More coffee. Okay. Well, if you're okay with it, actually, before we let you do a full introduction,
you almost forgot.
Should we start with our fun little this or that?
Absolutely.
Okay. So Emily, we have this segment on our show that was born out of Austin and I arguing a lot during our staff meetings. And so we have these little this or that battles.
Okay.
And
no pressure.
We have one for you today. We can all answer it, but we'll start.
Okay.
Do you want to ask it, Austin, or do you want me to?
I don't even remember what it is. It's all you. Go for it.
Okay. I'll take care of this one. Okay. So it's October, it's fall. When this episode airs, it will be really close to Halloween. And so we're curious, candy corn or candy pumpkins? What's your go-to?
Candy corn.
Wow.
You had to think about that for a minute. I saw that.
Well, I'm going to say it, guys. I'm not a huge candy corn fan. I'll eat it. I am more of a Reese's pumpkin gal.
Okay.
Yes.
And then I eat enough to make myself sick. So
fair enough.
Mm-hmm. That is the answer I was looking for. Because now I don't like either of those. I don't
I'm not into them.
Yeah. So I'm like, what's the other option? And I forgot about Reese's pumpkins. Those are the pumpkin candies that I want.
I took out all the chocolate candy as my boys are trick-or-treating. And I'm like, I think I deserve this one.
Yeah.
Now my husband likes all the obscure candies like Whoppers, the weird Tootsie Roll flavors. I'm like, why do you like? He's into
who
them.
gets the blue ones?
The blue vanilla Tootsie Rolls. Those are amazing. I love those.
There you go.
Crazy.
I'm here for it. I do love candy corn and candy pumpkins. I'm a sucker for a good candy pumpkin every now and then, but I can have 3 and then I'm like,
and then you're done.
Move on. Yes.
Right.
Yes. So now I'm really excited for trick-or-treating and stealing all my kids' candy. So I'm glad we got that moment in there.
You got it out in the open. Gosh, I feel better. I feel
so glad. All right.
That was a healing moment for me. I just wanted to
say. He feels seen now.
Yeah. Big confession. Yeah.
Well, now that everyone knows about our candy preferences, we can jump into the main portion of our episode. So we've been doing this series on our podcast. It's kind of a growth series. Like, what are we calling it, Austin?
Growth stories. Yeah.
Growth stories. There we go.
I like it.
Yeah. Just about how people have kind of grown their businesses or their brands or just lots of different, we've had some clients on. And anyway, it's been a lot of fun. And so we're excited for you to share your story today. So can you kick us off and just share a little bit about who you are, what you do, all those fun things?
Yeah. Well, I am a mom of 3 boys. Yep. You heard correctly. 3 of them. And my arms are full of love. Oh, your arms are full. Full of love. It's great. I love my boys so much. Wife to Ryan, he also owns his own business. So we've definitely bonded even deeper the last 4-ish years that I've had my own business. So that's been really great to kind of connect with him in a new and different way. I used to be a kindergarten teacher, and the plan was teach, have the babies and stop teaching. Cause the amount we make is basically daycare. and then go back to teaching. That's always been the plan. I always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. That was always in the plan. That was it. A year after I had my first son, I was approached by my mother-in-law, who was then the CEO of our family company that my husband now is the CEO of. And she said, can Emily do the social media for us? And my qualifications were in 2015, I can post fast.
Yeah.
That was it. That's all I had to know how to do.
Yes.
Oh, can you post quickly? Great. Got the job. So I was so thrilled to, one, be able to do something that I actually really liked. I've always loved Facebook. I remember being in college orientation when it was just for college, and I could not wait to get my email address so I could finally be on Facebook. And giddy. I was so excited. So I've always loved Facebook. When Instagram came out, I always loved Instagram. I loved, sharing and writing and doing, marrying the two things of sharing the posts and then writing the words. And I just loved it. So this came very naturally to me, but I also got to talk to humans that were not my 1-year-old son. And I found that, that was missing. And I wanted to do something more, which was also led to a ton of guilt with, you're enough, but also mommy needs to be Emily for a little bit too. And I became a Beachbody coach after that, which was great, but I was terrible at it. I was great with getting customers and like sharing about it, but I fell in love with the social media marketing aspect and not the growing my team aspect, which then I thought, I'm wasting a lot of time making these stories now, doing this whole thing. And that was in late 2017. And I had a few people say, now, how do you do this, Boomerang? And wait, the font, we didn't have fonts.
Yes.
So I would do two, I would write the same thing twice and layer them so it looked like 3D. And everyone thought that. They were like, what is that magic? And I'm like, I'll tell you about it.
Back in the day.
That specific story led to a friend of mine who I met through Instagram saying, would you train my team on Instagram? And I was like, me? What are you talking about? Like, I am a former kindergarten teacher. I run the social media for my family company, not doing spectacularly, just kind of doing it. And I do this Beachbody thing. I mean, what, me? And my husband's like, yeah, but you got to like ask them, they should pay you for that. And I was like, again, laughable. I'm not going to do that. Like, I can't chart. I don't have a background in business. I don't have a background in marketing. There's no way. I ended up doing my first little one-on-one Instagram story training for $35 at a local Starbucks. And it was the most riveting. I mean, you would have thought I made $1,000. I mean, I was like making it rain in the Starbucks parking lot with my $35. It was so great. And I realized then that what I had missed was teaching. I think when I went to school and I would teach 24 little kids how to read, that was so impactful. And it made me, having that indicator of teacher, I had lost that. So it wasn't that being a mom wasn't enough. It was that I was mourning the loss of this indicator that I no longer had. And then I found that, yes, I can still teach. They're not, 4, 5, and 6, they're adults. And mainly through the computer screen. My classroom's different, but I found that I loved it. And I just kept saying yes. And I kept stumbling. And I cannot believe that I'm here with you doing this, talking about this still. It makes me laugh so hard to think, because I'm a teacher. That's what I do. I'm a kindergarten teacher. Business, marketing, what? Like, I don't know anything about that kind of stuff. And I have stumbled my way into year 4 of owning my own business. I have a membership with my business partner, Shannon McKinstry, and we do all social media marketing, as well as business, as well as just like, commiserating with other female entrepreneurs about how it's tough to own your own business. And then I have pivoted this year to just strictly Instagram, because I want to do LinkedIn. I really, really do want to like it and love it, but I don't. And I'm not good at it. And when people ask me questions about LinkedIn, I start sweating. So I have to focus on what I am the best at, and that is Instagram. So this year I focused solely on Instagram one-on-one consulting with clients, and it has been my best year yet. I've absolutely loved it. And here we are. And that's the end of this long story.
Here we are. I'm curious, how did you cross the kind of barrier or gap between when you were like, nobody would pay me for that, to, okay, I can see how this is a possibility?
So I think it was a big mental game because of course you're the not enough, the worthiness, the comparison, where like, I know that a lot of people who do what I do have marketing backgrounds, have business degrees. They have been taught in some capacity. I know there wasn't an Instagram major when we were in college. However, there was business, there was marketing, and I had no training on that. But I found that if you can solve a problem that people don't know how to solve, and you know a little bit more than they do, then you should be paid for knowing what you did. I didn't go to a college and sit in a classroom and learn about marketing. However, I did watch a bajillion, million, trillion YouTube videos on how to do fun story hacks, on I would listen to podcast after podcast after podcast on marketing and business. So I was learning. I'm just kind of like in my own haphazard way. I was putting the time in, and it started with $35, and I slowly would increase my price. Now, price increases also make me want to sweat, but I find that I start with the offer that I want to do the least. And I'm like, let's see if someone will bite at that. I mean, I literally make up prices like out of nowhere. But awesome. It's shocking because I feel the same way. It's shocking to see what people will pay to do something that they cannot do. And I know that the ROI on what I do, you can't really put a price on that. And I've seen my clients explode from stuff I've taught them. So I would say with each client, I got more and more confident, like, oh, I actually do know what I'm doing with this. And it's intuitive to me. Instagram, social media is not intuitive to a lot of people. That's why I have a job. So I feel like it is a problem in this age with the technology that needs to be solved, especially with people who are older. I feel like 30 plus, 40 plus, 50 plus, they're like, I don't want some 20-year-old teaching me how to do that. Enter me. So I feel like when you are a little bit ahead of someone, you have the right and you have the more confidence in charging people for your services. But I did a lot of free stuff, a lot for experience, because I think experience is the best teacher really when it comes down to it.
Yeah. So true. I also feel like first of all, I think we might be twins. I was a teacher.
Yes.
And then I did a direct sales company, and now I'm here.
Yes.
But I really think a lot of people who have education degrees, you sell yourself short of thinking, oh, I don't know how to market anything. You literally convince kids that math and reading are fun. Like, where else do you do marketing than that?
That is true. And I do remember my principal would always stop into my room because I would be like, oh my gosh, come on in. I could turn it on. How amazing is let's talk about how great our school is. Like, so I could sell, I guess I sold the school.
Exactly.
So, you made me think about some things, Kelsey.
It all comes together there.
Totally.
It does. That is awesome. You mentioned pricing. So I am curious so you said it's kind of like, you're just throwing out things, seeing what sticks. Yeah. But how has that or your perspective of pricing changed since you first started?
I think that to me, time is the most valuable thing, more so than money. I think if something's going to save me time, I'm going to pay for it. I just recently hired my first team member. She is a goddess sent from the system's heavens. And she is, shout out to Elise, you're the best. She has helped me with my offboarding. I didn't have it. People would work with me. Kelsey knows she worked with me. Bye. There was nothing. Nothing would get sent. Oh, we had a great month together. See ya. I didn't have anything. Now I have ongoing offers. She has helped me so much. And I've realized that paying someone to save me time is so worth it. Yeah. That I know when I'm working, I know how much time I'm saving people because I can do it faster and I don't get as frustrated with it. So for instance, my sister, she has a flower pot business. I don't want to do that. I will pay her whatever she asks me to do that. So when I'm then coming to someone with a proposal, I'm like, I know if they really don't want to do this and they really need a lot of handholding with their Instagram strategy, they will be thrilled that someone's helping them in the way that I think that they need to be helped, which typically my clients need a lot of hand holding. They need a lot of confidence boosting. And so I think that once I know that when those are the most ideal clients, and they're like, whatever, I don't care. I just need you. And I'm like, here we go. All right. This is a good fit. But I think knowing that how much time I'm saving people really helps with the price that I price all my offers.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
I think for our listeners too, it comes back to what you were saying earlier about return on investment. Like when you know what you're doing for people is important, it's easy to start thinking to yourself like, oh, this is just Instagram, or like, oh, I just know how to do it. But no, like when you really think about the value it brings, it gives you more confidence in pricing your offers.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. What advice do you feel like you are consistently giving to people? Or like, what are kind of like the main questions you're like hearing all the time?
Well, last year was a doozy for us all. I was pregnant. I was halfway through my pregnancy when the pandemic started. And honestly, last April, I was like, I can't do this. I need to survive and hopefully not have my child in our bathtub at home. I mean, that was going through my head. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if the hospitals are going to be filled. Yeah. I can't worry about my Instagram business. Like I need to think about and worry about surviving rather than this business. And so I was going to throw in the towel, and I thought, okay, before you do that rash, Emily, let's think about what if you do like the very minimum and just see what happens. Like, I think at that point, people were either diving into work or just completely withdrawing from it, especially in the social media space. And I thought, okay, well, what if I just like post once a week? Like that's it. And it was audacious for someone in my position where consistency is key. And the more content you put out, the more eyeballs will see your stuff. So when I'm saying 3 to 4 times a week is probably a best practice, and I'm doing 1 a week, that's a little ballsy. But I thought let's see if I can at least keep it going. And I did that. And I posted once a week, maybe even at once every week and a half. And it shocks me at how that kept me afloat, because you condition your audience to expect things. So now they don't expect me to post 3 or 4 times a week, even still. If I post once or twice a week, it's fine. So with all this came my find your minimum catchphrase. Yeah. And when you find what you can manage with your life, with your business, with everything, and you just figure out what the minimum is when you're going through a season where it is tough to manage it all and you feel like you're just drowning, finding the minimum that you can do and then just doing it consistently will keep you above water. And that's now this year what I have been teaching is doing the least, but being consistent. Because so many people will think, I have to, a sale's coming up, I'm going to post 5 days in a row and then nothing for 2 weeks. And I'm like, and that's where it gets gross, guys. That's where it gets gross. Yeah. So if you don't want to be gross, you have to show up consistently, but it doesn't need to be every day. It's whatever is for you that works best for you. So my big thing is finding that minimum, doing it consistently, but also giving the control back to my audience or back to my clients. Like they'll say, well, what do you think? And I'm like, well, I don't live your life. Like, do you have carpool? Do you have activities? Do you have this? Like, I'm not going to tell you to post 3 or 4 times a week if you can't actually do it, because what I want to do is see you not stop. Like that's the whole key to success for me, is just not stopping. Just don't stop. You can be crawling, but you're still moving. And I found that last year that helped me survive, because I would not have survived at 3 or 4 posts a week. That is for dang sure. So those are kind of the 2 things that I am teaching and speaking about the most, is finding your minimum, whether that be with business or social media or your life. And then also just giving people control where they feel like they have to listen to all these gurus and all these specialists, and you tell, oh, well, this guy said this and this guy said this. And I like to flip it around and say, well, what do you think? So I like to give control, because you don't want an app to control you. That is silly. That's where it gets silly, when Instagram is giving you mental anxiety. That is not a thing that we want to have happen. So I'm trying to remind people that yes, it is such a powerful tool, but also let's not have it take over your entire life.
Yes. Preach.
Kelsey, you had like all the thoughts going right there. I was just watching.
I was like, here they come. Now that's one of my favorite messages that you share, and something I so resonate with. So I was really hoping you'd talk about it today. I'm glad you did. So can't
cut me up about that.
I know. And it's so helpful. Maybe we can even put the link in our show notes to your minimum challenge. If you have that rolling, that'd be fun.
Yeah, for sure.
So that was a great practical and also like theoretical tip for people who are growing on social media right now. What other tips would you give people who are growing their brand on social media?
I would say right now, I don't like to tell people they have to do anything. Again, would be opposite of what I just said. However, if you are new, I actually just posted a reel about this morning. If you are new, if you're in a funk, if you're stuck, I highly suggest right now taking a whack at reels, only because it echoes my my whole concept of trying to do the least better, because I know that if I post a photo, its lifespan is much less than a reel. So yes, the reel, you might have to zhuzh it up a bit. It may take a little more time than just throwing up a picture. But the great thing about reels is you don't have to lean on the caption as much, because the video is so much, and it doesn't have to be a transition. You don't have to dance. You don't have to do any trends, nothing. All you have to do is find pictures, video. I gave 5 simple reels ideas. It can be a day in the life, snippets, you walking into your work, or for me, walking to this table that is my desk right now. And then, getting a cup of coffee, and then meeting with a client, then picking my kids up from school, then doing this, that, done. A day in the life. It doesn't have to be so fancy. I am the queen of not doing anything fancy and still finding success somehow. So I don't have a phone holder for my transitions. I literally prop my phone up against things. I have a vase over here. I have my water bottle, whatever you can find. I think my type B/C personality has helped me a lot with social media, because I'm not a perfectionist. So I just throw it up and see what sticks. So that's what I would say is, don't be such a perfectionist that it prevents you from trying new things, and don't worry so much about the people who are looking at it, especially the people who won't even use your services. Cause I think when you're first starting your business, you think about your family, your friends, these, people who are even acquaintances that are local, that may be like, what are you doing? Which was entirely my first year of business. And I still do feel like that sometimes, when I'm like, oh, people probably think this is dumb. But then I'm like, skirt. Not really. If you think about it, it's not dumb. It's actually tripled my teacher income. And I've helped so many people provide income for their families. So it's not that dumb. So you have to kind of reframe that, where you're not thinking about the people who are rolling their eyes, because it doesn't matter what you post, your kids, your food. I mean, and people will roll their eyes at anything. So you may as well use it to build your business and speak to the people who actually really need your help. So taking a whack at reels and keeping it simple, not being such a perfectionist with sharing content, because people like it when you mess up anyways. So
they do. It's weird.
Do not go watch the bloopers of everything. I love bloopers. It's my favorite thing. And then also just not worrying about the eye rollers, because they're going to roll their eyes no matter what. And you just have to push past that and get through it.
I'm glad you brought up perfectionism, because it pairs with the at your minimum thing, because I feel like we talk to people all the time who that is the barrier. They're like, I don't have the time to post 4 times a week, so I'm not going to post at all. Correct. Or they're like, I don't want to put my face on social media, so I'm not going to post at all. And it's like, that becomes the gap, when it's like, there are no rules. Like, you make your own rules for how you want to grow. Just find that consistency, find what you want to post and do it.
And they get so mad. They get so mad at social media. I don't want to do that. And it's like, you don't have to, but I don't want to. And it's like, okay, you can show your feet. You can show your feet. You can show your hand. You can show your desk. There's now does showing your face help? It sure does. However, you don't have to do anything. And that's what people get so amped when they talk to me about Instagram sometimes. I don't get mad. And I'm like, well, that's a problem right there, is you get so angry at this app that's not making you do anything you don't want to do. If you don't like it, then maybe LinkedIn is better for you. Maybe Facebook, maybe Twitter. I don't know, whatever you want to do. Like, just, you don't have to get so angry about it. Obviously it triggers you in a way, and let's think about why it's triggering you. So that's something that I work with my clients as well, is I don't want to show my face. Okay, why? Like, let's talk about that. So I feel like you guys get that, where you're talking to your client, you're like, oh, we have to actually have a quick little social media therapy session as to why you don't want to do. Oh, well, it's cousin Sally. It's always cousin Sally, and she thinks it's dumb. And I'm like, well, let's not care about cousin Sally. And then it's like, oh, wow, that's a genius idea.
We should rebrand our coaching calls as social media therapy session.
It really is.
It
It
really
really
is true. And I'm curious. So do you feel like you see this as well? Like when you're on a social media call, like a consulting session, you end
Mhm.
up talking about their like personal life more
Always,
than social media? We do
always.
that too.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
so
But it's
interesting.
good for me, and I bet you guys it's great for you too, because I literally take ferocious notes. I
Yeah.
always tell my clients, especially in my VIP week sessions where I'm like literally on the call with them for 2 hours, I'm like, I'm not being rude. I'm every word they say, phrases they say, things
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that'd be a good headline. Oh, that's a good story.
Yes.
Da, 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 da. And I
Yes.
mean, it's so great just to get them talking, because
Yeah.
the amount of content that comes out when you're talking to them, it's like, oh my gosh. And they're like, oh, that's a good post idea. I'm like, yeah, because then we can loop it around and then talk about
Mhm.
this and add this as the CTA. And they're like, and then that's when I'm like, oh, okay, I know what I'm doing. Okay,
Yeah.
good. Like it's good reminders of like, oh, okay, good. But yes, it's a lot of personal. And again, they have to get their frustrations out at the beginning with why they're so mad at Instagram. And then by the end of it, they're like, oh, I feel better. And it's like, yeah, because you have a strategy. And
Yeah.
that feels good to you, that you approve of, because you are in charge of this app. It is not in charge of you.
That's good.
So good. Don't you remember you helped me come up with my Doritos
Oh,
tagline?
It's a
it's
good one.
literally the most relatable thing ever. Like it's the best.
Have your oils and Doritos too.
Yeah.
Actually, that brings up a great question that just came in my head. So I
About
remember one thing.
Doritos?
Well,
I
about
love
Doritos.
Doritos.
What's your
We should
favorite
have
flavor?
I know it.
Cool Ranch.
Yeah, we should have made
Nice.
that our this or that segment. That would have been fun.
That would have been good.
All of them. I just want all the
It's
Doritos.
all of them.
I remember we had a really good conversation though when I had my call with you about feeling like, okay, so I do social media as a job, and here I am still wanting to have you help me with things or like get your input on things.
Yeah.
How would you talk to someone who's growing their business and feels like they can't ask for help or have community because they need to be the expert? But I mean, you've built so much on community, so I'm excited for you to talk about that.
When you put yourself out there and start your own business, it's already scary and it's already hard. But when you start doing a business that's maybe in a newer field that people don't understand, and a lot of people don't understand the social media world and this space, it's super lonely. And it's like, you feel like no one else understands what you're doing, what the point is, like, what are you doing? Like no one gets it. So finding people who understand what you do and why you do it makes you feel less alone and reminds you that like, oh, this is a thing. Oh, okay. No, this is a business, and you don't have to, you don't have to do that. It's like with clients, I used to work with some corporate clients, and I got frustrated because I would have to prove to them why they needed my help and why social media was important to their business. And then there was no time left for me to actually do my thing because I was explaining to them why they needed to do it. So with these friendships in the community, with the Social Squad and the Social Squad Society, it's just a community of people who get it, because we're all doing the same thing. And we're also all like at least 30 plus, if not like 35 plus. So there's zero drama because we don't have time. So that's the other thing too. There's not a lot of cattiness because we're like laundry, dishes, post. Okay, now this client said this. Okay, this. And I love being friends and building up and referring people who do what I do, and having a ton of people who are in my community that do what I do, because then I can lean on them. If I have someone who comes to me and they are a realtor, I am like, I can help you. However, Shannon, my business partner, dominates real estate. So go to her. She, at the beginning of the year, had someone who was health and fitness, and she was like, here's Emily. And so I think that that's just good karma. I think that some people like to, act like they know it all and they're experts of it all. And what I like to say to that is, when you share other people in your field sharing something, it's not that you don't know what it is, you just become a better resource for people. Because for me, I am not an account that will show the spanking new feature alert. There's a new, because I know my ideal client, that'll stress her out. She doesn't want to hear about she doesn't want to hear the new remix for Reels. She didn't want to hear about that. She didn't want to hear about that Live has done this and that. She's just trying to post today. She doesn't want to hear about that. So it's great because I have this awesome community of people who do share that. So I just repost on my stories and call it a day. And they then lean on me if they feel like their audience is needing, back to reality, some finding your minimum type stuff, where they can then share my stuff, which is more simplified because my ideal client typically is just starting or trying to find their feet more so than in the middle or the end of their Instagram expertise, I guess. They're kind of in the middle to the end, whereas my people are at the beginning or the middle. So there's so many reasons why you should find a community of people who do what you do. But again, leaning on them is not a sign of weakness. I think it's just a sign of strength and community, that like you're so confident in your business that you can shout out the next person that just makes it stronger, better, referrals. I mean, last year I paused my business for 6 months, and it was great because I had so many people to build up their businesses for. I was like, I'm out, guys. I can't do this. I can't do consulting. I'm going to have a baby. It's a pandemic. I don't know if I'm going to even survive this myself. So, hey, Jamie Dixon, hey, Shannon McKinstry, hey. And I would just pass these people off to other people. And it was so great because I am a people pleaser and I want to help everyone, but I don't have the capacity to do so. So I would definitely suggest connecting with people who are in your field, and to just try not to see them as competition as much as just community and camaraderie more than that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you end up having to have your son in your bathtub?
I did not. Great question. I did not. Thank goodness. He was 9 pounds, 9 ounces. So.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow.
That would have been fun. That would have been a story.
Is it appropriate to share about that on the podcast? There you go. There you
Absolutely.
go.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, there was room in the end. There was room in the end with epidurals galore. So crazy.
That's awesome. Okay. So I wanted to ask you, you have an awesome picture on your about page on your website. You are sitting in your kid's toy room. There's toys everywhere. You're sitting on your phone. I loved it. I mean, it's something that you don't often see. And oftentimes that's like a reality that people try to hide rather than show.
Yeah.
What role do you feel like vulnerability plays in growing something meaningful?
I think that every time I'm vulnerable about something in my life, the reaction to it, or the connections made, or the impact is triple what I thought it would be. And I guess I don't share everything, but I do share quite a bit about myself. And not that you have to do that, but since I do what I do and I enjoy connecting with people, I find that the more vulnerable, the less I wash my hair, the less makeup I have, the messier my playroom, the more I connect to people, because I think that Instagram, it's definitely changing, but I would say in 2019-ish, it was definitely a space where aesthetics and why are you not in Bali, in the ocean and in a hammock? Like, what do you mean? Yeah. It's like, I'm at home with my kids with, poopy diapers and a messy playroom. That's me. Right. So, and it actually started because I would say 6 months into my business, someone completely just signed up with me and then learned more about me and decided to not work with me because she said, I want someone more professional. And it kind of crushed me, because all I'm trying to do as a former teacher that has nothing to do with business or marketing background, I'm trying to be as businessy as I can. So I'm trying so hard to just be a business owner and put that hat on, and to find that was the reason why she did not want to work with me was crushing. And I remember having Ryan, should we put a sheet up behind me? Cause I did all my calls in the playroom. Should I put a sheet up behind me? Should I like mute the kids? Should I get, a care for my kids so that they're not anywhere around? And then I'm like, oh, I don't know about that. And I had a client who said, that is why I chose you, because of the messy playroom, because of all the dry shampoo, because of that. And once I found that actually leaning into who I am for realsies attracts the clients that I want, who will be okay if I have to push a call back 5 minutes because my kid just threw up, who does understand the mom life, because a lot of my clients are parents and I want to connect with them and help them provide for their families. And so that was the whole part of that. I won't say photo shoot because that sounds really fancy. That brand photography session. I said, I want a professional photo, but I do want stuff everywhere. Because that also impacts my clients, where I say, just show up as you are. And then I'm not showing up as I am. Well, then I can't really do that. Right. So that was definitely a pivotal moment where I did start to see that pretending like someone I'm not attracts people I don't even want to work with. So being yourself on social media and being vulnerable can lead to you working with the people you actually want to work with. And it's a lot less exhausting because you don't have to pretend. It's just like, oh, all right. People, they get it when they sign up with me. They know for real what they're going to get.
Yeah. I think we forget sometimes too, as like business owners, if you're trying to grow something, that's the perk, is you get to grow it how you want it to. So, going back to like finding someone to watch your kids or whatever, if you're building the business at home so you can be home with your kids, don't pivot your business so you're never with your kids and you like miss the whole freedom of it.
Yeah.
I love that.
Such a good point, Elsie.
Yeah. What else have you learned? I'm curious about just building a business as a parent. What has that been like?
I think that when I first started, I thought people pleaser, not businessy gal. I thought I had to respond to every DM. I thought I had to respond to every email. I thought I had to be open and there for my clients because I had to make up for the fact that I wasn't going to an office every day, that I didn't wear a suit, that I didn't have this background. And I remember my husband being like, hey, this isn't working. You are on your phone way too much. And I get that you want to do your best, but we need your best too. So I ended up creating business hours. And so I am on Instagram, I guess I would say from like 9ish to 1:30ish, where I'm available on Instagram. I'm posting stories, but I am not racing to answer every single DM if I don't need to. And that has really impacted me as a mom and focusing time with them. And honestly, when I am playing with my boys now, it's like a 0 screen time. Like I am just like no screens, and it's actually led to better playtime because I'm not just scrolling, looking at stuff.
Right.
So it's led to more intimate, like one-on-one moments with them instead of me multitasking 15 different things. It's like, oh no, here's the time that we're going to play together and just play. So I do this thing called all screens on, all screens off. It's like my favorite work from home tip with kids. And if like, for instance, last week, my middle Bo, he was on fall break. And so I had to work and he doesn't nap anymore. So I'm like, all right, all screens on. So he had his iPad. I had my computer. We sat side by side for a half hour and that was all screens on. And then I shut my computer. He put his iPad away, all screens off. We did Play-Doh. We played outside. We went to a park, did all that stuff. Okay. All screens on. And so then it removes that guilt of you carrying around your laptop as you're like throwing your kid, like, oh, you're playing. Oh, what this character's doing this, like while you have your laptop. So I think really trying to have focused time for each thing and trying to plan your day where you're completely off or you're completely on. And there's no in between, because when it's in between all day long, that's where you will burn out and it's too much. So I have and I will even say, because I'm such a people pleaser, people don't have to do this, but I'll be like, peace out, Instagram, bye, just to signal to them, bye, I'm not going to be here. So I know you may have a hashtag question, business owner that I haven't connected to, but I just check my stories. I'll see you tomorrow morning. And another thing too, which is a really great tip. If you don't post on your stories for 24 hours and then you post again, you get really great reach. It's the best hack for me because it goes with my brand of doing less. And so I get a full 24 hours of not posting my stories, and it's part of the strategy.
Yes. Yep. That's part of why I take my weekend off social too.
Working the system.
So Saturdays are just, I love it because I'm just like, bye, see you later. And it's all part of the strategy. So definitely having those focus times where you are working and you're not working has helped me in my relationship with my kids, and having healthy boundaries with working from home, since there's no clock in, clock out with what we do.
Totally can relate to that. I use your all screens on, all screens off all the time now. I'm like, we're just going to let go of the screen time guilt and we're just going to run with it.
No, we can't. Cause you know what? I was the fourth and I watched a lot of TV, and I guess I'm fine. So
you're doing great. You're a successful adult.
We didn't want to tell you, but
you're okay.
It's okay.
I think I would wrap it up by asking, what's your advice to someone who's starting something new right now? And you can run with that if they're new on social media or just new to building a business in general, because you have experience with both of those things.
Yeah.
I think for sure when you're starting a business, and I definitely, like I've said before, I'm a people pleaser. I really like to have everyone's approval. I like to make sure before I do something big, I like to, okay, does everyone okay with this? Okay, now I'll do it. And with my business, I didn't have that. And it was really uncomfortable. And not so much that they were like, don't do that. It was, I think looking back with my family and friends, I think it was a lot of, what are you doing? And I don't get it, more so than that's dumb. Why are you doing that? But of course, I'm like super sensitive and empathy out the roof. So I'm like, oh my gosh, they hate this. They hate that I'm doing this. I shouldn't be doing this. And I had to realize that even my sweet husband, who's supported me nonstop since the jump, no one will care about your business more than you. And you can really try hard to get people to care, but they probably won't. And it's not, you have to separate it. You almost have to take a little break and space from those people. And even though it's so exciting and you're so excited about it and you cannot believe that they would not ask you about it, and you can't, well, what do you mean? Like, I've just started this huge thing that's really important and it's my baby and why are you not asking about it? It may not be that they don't care about it. They just may not get it or know what to say or know how to ask it. So that is literally my biggest piece of advice for someone who's starting their own business and new, is to just remember that you will care the very most and that you don't need everyone's approval to do it. Coming from a recovering people pleaser and needing approval of all the people, and to do it for yourself, if that's what you want to do. And as long as your core family, your big rocks are all, good and stable, and significant other is on board with it. I think that that's also tricky too. I was very blessed to have my husband very much understand it, but I think proof is in the pudding. So, I'm like, well, I just paid for a Disney trip, so I think you're okay with it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think we're okay with it. So
Yes.
that would be my biggest piece of advice, and find those people who do get it.
Yeah.
And that helps counterbalance the people who don't get it.
There has been so much good wisdom in this, Emily. This has been awesome. I have a stupid question to end this. So I have connected with you most since you are a big fan of The Walking Dead.
Yes.
And I showed you, I have all the compendiums over here of the comics. You're a big fan of the TV show. I have not watched the TV show for a while, so I don't even know what characters are still going. But if you could take the spot of one character in The Walking Dead, who would it be?
Oof, gosh.
Good question.
It's such a good question. And I shouldn't have to think this hard about it, but that's how into the series I am.
Well, while you're thinking about it, I'll just let all of our listeners who don't watch The Walking Dead know that this is a safe space for you. We can hang out together.
I don't know if I support this message, but
just let them do their thing.
I would have to say Michonne.
Okay.
She's
freaking
badass.
Awesome. She is. That's exactly.
She just dominates, and she just she gets to do so many cool scenes, and she's just so aggressive. And me and my husband like to play like, in that situation, what would you do? I would like to think I'd be Michonne, so that's why I'm picking her. She's I don't know how they all learned to fight so well all of a sudden, but
true.
But I think we like to think we would rise to the occasion and like wield a sword the way she does. So
that scene when she first comes into the show in like season 2 or 3, I think it was.
Amazing.
That is like epic.
It is so, cool. So awesome. So yeah, I'd have to say Michonne.
Good answer. All right. Sorry everybody that didn't care about that, but it was freaking awesome.
In my head.
Emily, thank you so much for the time. This was so
great. This was
Such
the best ever. I appreciate you guys asking me because this was way too much fun.